Thanks for joining us. I think we're on episode 66 of VIP Boxing's Bell to Bell podcast. But we'll be honest, we're a bit all over the place this week. I'm somewhere. I'm in Canada. John's being an electrician. Woody's in the middle of I don't know what he's in the middle of, but he's in his office. So what we're going to do, and Woody's come off the subs-bench because Matthew Hatton can't make it. So we're just going to have a chat on Bell to Bell this week about things that are happening in boxing, things that's happened. I know in a bit we're going to talk about what did happen in Nottingham and what went down last night. For those of you who are fortunate to see it, some of us still haven't for one reason or another. And of course, if you can leave us a review, that would be very, very grateful for that. But I'll tell you what, before we talk about Conlan and Lee Wood, the sensational fight that took place in Nottingham, Woody's our special guest. Woody, it's been some couple of days for you. Another British champion. You got 2 out of the 3 Salford champions there's ever been. And you had your own show last night. So John's got to keep quiet he usually has the opening round. You fire away, Woody. We're all ears. We want to know what's happening in the land of VIP.
Yeah, well, Friday night was obviously a special night for us because I think everyone got to know about the Salfordchenko, as Jamie Moore says. So we've gone down to London. The away fighter fighting a Frank Warren fighter on their own town in York Hall. Didn't want us to win. And Mark's put on a masterclass, which obviously we all know about him up in Manchester, and the boxing community have been saying, what a good fighter he is for the last kind of 15 years because he was a top amateur as well. But he's never been a ticket seller. His style's ones where people don't want to fight him, and we've had to really work hard to, win an eliminator, a final eliminator, another final eliminator, move up weight from bantamweight to super bantamweight to get his opportunity. So he got his title fight on Friday night, and he took it with both hands. And because Chris Brook was such a live opponent and kept coming and coming, even though he was walking on to something from the first 10 seconds, he made Mark look extra special. So I think what we've got now is somebody that we can work with and make into a superstar, because the following he'll get from Salford, as you mentioned before, is only the 3rd person in over 100 years to win a British title. That'll be mentioned a lot in Salford. Obviously, his trainer, Jamie Moore, who I managed as well, was the 2nd person. And I think Bowker, it was, who was, 102 years ago. It's a great achievement. So we'll get Salford behind him. He's a big Man United fan, and try and build him up now, and let everybody know. And I think the secret come out on Friday night, and it was a long secret. You've seen him, John. You know what a good fighter he is.
Yeah. Mark seems to me, Steve, as if he's one of them. He'll rise or fall to the level of the opponent, won't he? The best we've seen, Cash Asfak and Chris Brook, he's been brilliant in both fights. And then he dropped back down, and we've seen him frustrate you against Brett Fido over 10 rounds, wasn't it? And you're pulling your hair out. Come on, Mark. But the 2 biggest stages he's had, the 2 biggest opponents he's had, he's been brilliant, hasn't he? He's more than lived up to the pressure, lived up to the expectation, and he's really shown what he can do on the biggest stages. And you know, Steve, don't you? You just mentioned it then, how much the Salford fans get behind from times with Steve Foster and things like that. If Mark can get going, he could build behind, couldn't it, the momentum?
The reason Daddy Foster got so many big fights was because how popular it was. It would be a mad then Saturday nights walking down the Deansgate with a Viking boat, and then when he lost the fight, I think they burnt the Viking boat. That's what Vikings do when they lose a war. But one more question on Mark, Steve, before you tell us about last night's or Saturday's show. What's next for him? What's the situation with him promotionally, or where does he go now?
Well, he's got one option with Frank Warren. So in the option, I think there's 3 mentioned. One is a rematch with Chris Brook, which I don't think they'll want. The other is Liam Davis, and then the other one is the British champion who got beat by Cunningham, Brad Foster. So I would really Liam Davis is fighting Andrew Kane. I would have thought they'll give Foster a way back to come. So I'm expecting that's who we'll have to fight next, and that's what we'll do. And then obviously we'll look at the options there. I mean, hopefully he impresses again, and Frank Morgan might want to do something with him. But I know Eddie Hearn and Boxer and maybe Wasserman, they'll be looking, and some talent like that, you know, someone wants to get hold of him. So it'd be a nice position for me to be in, where nobody's wanted to know him, where all of a sudden I think everybody wants to know him. But while we're talking about that, a hot subject, you won't have seen it, Steve, being in Canada. I mean, Carl Frampton mentioned it afterwards with Steve Bunt about saying, like, you know, because the right person's won, no one will mention it. But, you know, he had it, I think, 11 rounds to mark and one draw. Was 116, 113, you know, and it's like, what fights are they seeing? You know, I actually did score it, but I wasn't counting it early doors, but I think we got to like 7 and maybe one draw when we knew we had to get knocked out to lose it, you know, and I think he coached with the others as well. So if Rampton's gone 11 and 1, he might have been 10 and 2, you know. Did he lose a round? I don't think so. He probably got hit 5 times in the old 12 rounds, and it was as convincing win as you could see. Yeah, someone had it where he's only 116, 113, so...
There's another one last night. You two won't have seen it. Sandy Ryan fought and got out. She got beat by an Argentinian girl. You know, it was just get outworked, clear as day, over 10. One of the judges give it Ryan 97-93.
Yeah, this is
it's
what
just, that's nearly as bad as anything from Taylor Catchall. But because the right girl got the decision, it'll just get brushed under the carpet and forgotten.
That's right. And it's like the Ballwood estate. I mean, a lot of the talk, but just the Ballwood estate, when Nigel Travis said so well on the pod last week, it wasn't just Ian John Lewis's card. What about, you know, it would have been, it weren't for the knockdown, the 1-1-3, 1-1-2 would have been a draw, wouldn't it? Or would have been the other. Yeah, so madness. But how was your show last night, Stephen Bolton? Tell us what went down there.
You know what, we had problems with it, and I was thinking last night, bearing in mind I didn't get home till 4:45 on Saturday morning after being in London on the Friday night for the show. I was a little bit tired, and we'd had matching problems with a couple pulling out early on in the week, and then we've had a problem with the Ghanaian thing where, three weeks ago, it seems that we've had a ringer on our show there, and the board have suspended the Ghanaians coming in for the time being. So we had a couple of them who blocked out, so we had to bring other people into them, and, you know, it's crazy, this boxing. You know, people sat outside, turned up for our show last night, seeing a fantastic show. We wouldn't have known all the problems we've had. You know, like in the last 3 weeks, I've had a ringer come in, which we knew nothing about. Last week, I lost a fight on the day because the Boxing Board of Control had changed the late substitution rules that you can't have them now. But they've not told us, the members, so we didn't know about that. And then last night, we've had a medical failure. One of the boxers who weighed in the day before was having his doctor's medical, and the doctor realised he couldn't see particularly well out of his left eye. You know, when I say particular well, he virtually had no vision out of it. So he wasn't allowed to fight. So I've had a ringer, the Boxing Board of Control, and nearly a blind man in 3 weeks, and it puts a lot of stress on you. But what I'm saying is that we wasn't expecting what we got, and we got 8 cracking fights, and I'll probably go as far as saying in the 26 years of promoting, I might have had better shows, but I've never had 8 fights as good as that all on it. You know what I mean? You're only saying 2 or 3 good fights on shows, which have been great, with another 4 or 5 okay, and maybe a couple of normal easy wins. You know, you 60 54s, which you expect, or your 40 36s. There was none of that last night. We had some absolutely cracking fights, 58, 56, 58, 57, couple of knockouts, and it was finished with Jack Flatley coming back with a last-minute opponent who was very, very good, and just winning that one, 58, 56. It was fantastic, and it makes you go home proud that everybody stayed. You know, it was busy from the start. It was full at the end. Nobody went, and they never seen one back. Great. I was really pleased with it last night, Steve.
Brilliant. And John, Steve hasn't seen it because of his own show. I couldn't see this because the Zone Canada, I got all the way through to get a subscription. They wouldn't take my card because it's linked to an English address, I guess. So I didn't see the fight. I said on the pod last week, I didn't want to miss it at all. So you're going to have to talk about it. Lee Wood and Michael Conlan. What was it like watching it from the comfort of your home, John, even though you'd have loved to...
We've been talking about this fight, haven't we, for a few weeks?
Yeah, last week I was just sick when I suddenly I was getting sent out here.
We knew it was good. We knew it couldn't fail. And we also said that we thought Mick Conlan had produced the performance of his life, didn't we? But Mick produced the performance of his life in 9 rounds. He was better at everything. He was more skillful. He could soak up everything Lee was throwing at him, it seemed. He was outworking him inside and doing a right job on him inside. Lee, I'm not sure is the best inside fighter, and Mick was just killing him to the body. He just couldn't find them finishing punches. And Lee, the chin, the heart, the guts he showed in that fight was ridiculous. He was losing the vast majority of the rounds. I think after 9, you could have had it 8-1, 7-2. But it was one of those one-sided fights where Lee was constantly trying to land. And as it turned out, although it didn't look like he was having much success, the success he was having and the weight of them punches must have just been emptying Mick's tank minute by minute by minute. In about the 10th, the referee broke them, and Mick looked like he was going to collapse from exhaustion. It happened really quickly. And from that point, Lee just put his foot down. He got a knockdown in the 11th, and then we've all seen the finish, haven't we? It was incredible.
I've seen it. What I was going to ask you, John, as a second, we're going to have to ask you about this fight. In the 11th round, when he went down at the end of the round, I mean, I haven't seen it, the knockdown that the corner disputed. As I say, I haven't seen it, so I don't know. Do you think that give Lee Wood any more impetus, having scored that knockdown? I know it sounds it's daft, but I just wonder what you think there.
A little bit, but I think he knew he had to get a knockout from about round 9 onwards. And I think Mick degraded so quickly. Honestly, if you watch the fight back, the referee breaks them with about 30 seconds to go in the 10th, and Mick's wobbling all over the place, and it's just through exhaustion. Lee was looking for a knockout from 10, 11, 12. I don't think that knockdown particularly spurred him on. I think if Mick had stayed on his feet in the 11th, Lee would have come out from the 12th knowing he had to get a knockout. Watching it live, it was weird because the camera angle, it just looked like, again, Mick had just gone from exhaustion and slumped. And when he went backwards out the ropes, I feared the worst because it looked like he'd gone unconscious and then slid out backwards right onto his head.
Yeah.
But thankfully, it looks like a couple of people caught him, and it was a punch that did it. Phenomenal turnaround from Lee Wood. I tell you what, I think he got, after such a fight like that, it's horrible to say he got, I don't want to say it, he got exposed a little bit by a world-class boxer. You know, he couldn't compete with Mick boxing, but he's the most dangerous guy in the division. He's got the punch turnaround and he carries it to the 12th round. But it's all opened up for Josh, Steve, hasn't it? I was overseeing Josh Warrington last week. He's got a path there, hasn't he, to the unifications he wanted and that Ring Magazine title belt he wanted before Lara turned up and ripped it all up. Suddenly he's got a pathway right back to where he wanted to be a year ago, hasn't he?
Well, we don't really want to talk about that for the time being because we made a big mistake once before by overlooking Lara, and we're not going to overlook Kiko Martinez because he showed last time he's also got that one punch power to change a fight. So let's get a week on Saturday out of the way, which I'm really looking forward to, and hopefully on the Sunday we can start thinking about which route we want to go, you know. And obviously once we're back being world champion, we'll be the draw in whatever fights that we go for, and it'll be nice. But let's get back to that situation before we start looking into it. But am I right in saying that Conlan put him over a couple of times in the first and second round?
Conlan put him over once in the first with like a big sweeping left hook, and it took Wood about 4 or 5 rounds to get his legs back under him. And honestly, watching it about 5 or 6 times through the fight, it looked like Mick could finish him with body shots. The head shots hadn't been clean, particularly like a big left hook. but after the first knockdown, we didn't really seem to have Lee in any danger of being knocked out, I didn't think, but the bodywork was just killing him, and that was opening up there.
Yeah, it's a strange one, that, because I'm sure seen someone on Twitter this morning, it might have been Sonny Edwards, who never seems to be off Twitter at the moment, saying that if Conlan it would have got that 10-8 last round, which he was obviously going to get in the 12, it'd have been a draw. On someone's card. How's that when he's been bashed up for all the rounds?
That's the scoring system.
Yeah, I think it would have been a majority draw, wouldn't it? But we would have had a scream up then. That would have been if Conlan had made it to the end of a round. Then after everything that's happened in the previous 2 weeks, the world would have been ending today with these scorecards because Mick Conlan won that fight apart from the last 90 seconds.
Yeah, I mean,
so what we say with that Sandy Ryan, 97-93, one judge has got her winning by 4 rounds, then the others have got a losing. Listen, we know it's subjective, but something's got to be done, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you wonder now. I mean, just what I mean, the most natural fight. Look, I mean, you don't want to talk about Josh. I understand that, and I'm not really including him in this. But the biggest fight in the division is the rematch between Wood and Conlan. It's when you go and where you go with it now. You're not going to be able to do this summer outside. So if it's going to happen this year, it's going to have to be indoors somewhere again and not outside because it's big enough to go outside now.
I don't think they should put Mick straight back into it.
No, they won't.
That opens up stuff like St. Patrick's Day next March, doesn't it? And things like that. If you're talking a year on, maybe something around Christmas. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Mick get first shot at whoever is the unified champion next March sometime.
That's it. And to tell you what, it just shows. Then I just think, boxing, in different ways, the highs and lows of this sport. For example, boxing, was it 2 weeks ago? Boxing's like getting kicked in the gutter. The police are getting informed of scorecards. When Jack Cattrall got jobbed in Scotland, everyone's saying, "I'm not watching boxing again. It's corrupt." And this morning, you look at social media, you got the same people just celebrating, people comparing it with Bobby Chacon fights of the 80s and stuff. It just shows the highs and lows, how this sport switches. It's almost like the highs and lows for Jamie Moore. From the other week, for him and Nigel, what happened to Josh Taylor, to Mark Leach, they took from Oliver Harrison and making him a British champion from Salford. And for you, Steve, as well, the things you had lately, the highs, the lows are the lowest, then you get the highs of the highest when you go home last night celebrating one of the great shows that you've ever promoted.
Yeah, I had Lee Hogan in before, he was just coming for the catch-up, and he was like, like a lot of people, certainly my family, saying, why did you do it? And you even question it yourself sometimes, because there is some really, really bad periods in boxing, but like when you've had a part of the development and making Mark Leach into a British champion, and hopefully, it's not done yet, but we're on our way to changing his life. I think he still lives in a bloody council house with 4 kids and struggling. So, in 2 or 3 times, we might be getting him to buy his own house and hopefully pay his mortgage off while he's still a professional boxer. And I think when I look at things like that are a justification why you do it, because there's probably 10 reasons not to everyone to do it. So obviously the big things in your mind when you can help people change their lives.
Yeah, I mean, it is that Mark Leach story. It's one that's going to, is he going to become one of the Who Needs Him club, though? Who's going to want to fight him?
Well, they haven't, have they? And I'm hoping now, because he's got a belt, that changes it, and it's changed in the past for people. And, I think the TV companies are going to want to get behind it, because being brutally honest, the undercard to Mark Leach on Friday night was absolutely scandalous. You know, if you were to put that, probably 8 fights a day, against the 8 fights I had on my small hall show last night, chalk and cheese, absolutely fantastic small hall show last night. That on BT would have had all of the people loving boxing. What we seen on BT, I think 7 out of them were blowouts against absolute dregs. You know what I mean? One of the kids who's in the change, he looked like he'd been brought out from a crack den. You know what I mean? It was terrible. You know, and you know, we've all got to look at ourselves. And you know, if I can get shows regular like I did last night, I'll be happy. But you know, we're working at a lot lower level than what PT are, and with the money you've got and the people there, they've no excuses for putting shows on like that. And let's hope that was just a one-off for them, and mine's not a one-off. Yeah.
The other good thing though, it looks like BT are changing a little bit. You had Bork and Leach headlining on Friday. You've got Jason Cunningham headlining a show in a couple of weeks. You've got Echo Esserman headlining a show in a few weeks. Why can't Mark Leach against Brad Foster headline a BT show?
Why not?
It should be doing. Yeah, it should be doing.
Well, why not? No, and so what else?
Yeah, what I was saying, John and Steve, was you want quality underneath it as well, don't you? And too many. I mean, the Kell Brook undercard, and I'm repeating myself on it, on pay-per-view, was piss poor as well, and someone has got to get hold of these people who are doing it and say, look, let's start giving value money to the, not just the paying public who's coming on the doors, but they've got people who are buying subscriptions, you know, on your BT and your Sky, and say, look, there's no reason why we've got to do what we're doing here now. It's not just a question, let's get a big main event together, which is good, you know, let's give them a decent undercard. And I know Friday night was a prospect show, and you know you want to get your kids easy fights when they're starting off, but it's easy and too easy, isn't there?
Yeah, I'll tell you what.
I'll tell you what's happened the last few weeks though. They've got lucky with the main events. Like on Friday, everyone was talking about Leach, although the card piss poor undercard got forgotten. Khan and Brook was a thriller in its own little way, weren't it? And everyone forgot about the undercard there. I thought last night the undercard, it took forever. Jesus Christ. I think the show had been on 5 hours before the main event started. It was terrible.
Yeah,
and everyone forgot about it last night. So they've got out of jail week after week after week with the main events. But that's not going to last forever, is it? That's
a good point, John. Really good. And people, you say you've forgotten, but it's interesting you mentioned Kell Brook. I've come here to Canada to cover a show for Fight Zone. We're recording this on Sunday, by the way, for something that goes out Tuesday. And the first part, I'm going to the gym, do some filming. It was the weigh-in. No, filming at a media day on Friday. And the first person to walk in the gym is Kell Brook with Kid Galahad in tow, which was bizarre to see him out here. But I had a quick chat to him, and I get the impression that he told me of one offer that's nuts that's been made to him that he's turned down. I get the impression he's heading towards retirement.
Yeah,
there might be an offer that he's
Khan's exercising his right to have the rematch. Then was that what you've heard?
Yeah, I've heard that, but it was another offer, but which I'm told he didn't say that. Someone told me he's turned it down, and his mind at the moment is retirement.
If Kell retires, does that void the Khan rematch clause?
I guess it does. I guess there'll be some clause that, because if someone don't want to fight, at the end of the day, you think of Kell Brook's career, he's had some handsome paydays.
Yeah,
really handsome paydays. He's set for life, and isn't it great that a fighter, is going to go? I'd love it if he retired, go out on a high instead of get fed to.
Yeah. It was too old done there.
I don't see enough fighters go out. Kell Brook went up in my estimation for his preparation for that Khan fight, because we saw, I know Khan was bad, but we saw what the old Kell could still do when his mind was right. He might not get his mind right for a rematch, but if he's thinking of retirement, if he left boxing now on such a high, it'd even go further up in my estimation.
No, I know what you're saying, but I thought it was like a couple of old men fighting there, and it made it more of a fair fight. Kell's worked hard and got him in shape as Inamé did, but did they do it again? I don't know. But what I think John was saying was, does the contract say that he can't retire?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I'd like to know how you take him to court if he said like,
it wouldn't be too difficult to get a doctor to write a certificate or a letter saying, you've had a hard fight. There'll be scans on his body, his bones, muscles where they're knackered. And they would say if he fights again, he could have permanent muscle damage. You try getting that through a court of law. If he retires, he won't be able to press anything at all.
That's what retire for 6 months to retire. It should be allowed to retire. That's it, yeah.
They should both retire. He goes out on a high. Khan goes out, not how he'd want to, but he still goes out having what was what a career, So
Steve, I'm thinking, does Brook retire? That means Khan can't exercise his rematch clause, but it clears Brook in 6 months' time to take a different fight.
Well, I guess that there could be that.
How does that rematch clause work?
You never know though with Kell. He's enjoying himself out here for sure. But you never know what he's got in his mind. It's right now. I'm retired. I'm on a high. Who knows? In 3 months he might miss it. But I get the impression at this moment in time he hasn't got too many intentions of coming back into this sport.
It's a bit like you retiring from drinking all those years ago.
That's right. I tell you, someone who maybe should have retired from the social exercise demons. Is Adrian Broner. What a sad sight to see him in a wheelchair at a hospital the other day. If you've seen the pictures of him, really, really sad. I go back to the Box Nation days when 2011, 2012, when he was whatever super featherweight title he had, he was magnificent. And the night he beat Antonio DeMarco to win a world lightweight title, at that time DeMarco was arguably the number one in the division. I think Miguel Vasquez might have been around as an IBF champion. I'm not sure, but he was the number one in the division. But that really is where did it all go wrong?
Bad. Yeah, people, because he's acted like such a dick over the years, people forget just how good he was.
Yeah.
Imagine if he'd been disciplined and been a super feather and a lightweight. Even now, he'd be one of the great generation.
Yeah, when Matthew Hatton was coming on here, I was it was going to be one of the topics, because the first time I came across Broner was when I went to LA for Matthew's fight against Canelo, and he was on the undercard. And I knew the name. He's a kid coming up in America. I didn't know what he was going to be. And they had this press conference. And bloody hell, I walked into this press conference and there's these people around him. And they were just the brassest. They were nasty. You just thought, what the hell is this guy all about? It's going to be about. And he got on the top table and he was just crass what he was going to do to Ponce de Leon, what he thought of Mexicans. And then he won the fight, but it was close. And it was the first time ever I've been at a fight abroad where I've seen a geezer after the fight. Bearing in mind, it was in Anaheim, which is in California, but it was what Mexico was years ago before the Americans claimed the land. So it's a Spanish-speaking area of California, basically. And he was just pelted with beer, popcorn, hot dogs, the lot. It's the first time I've ever seen it. But I thought then what a good fight it was. And it's just a shame where it goes wrong for these guys. What do you think, Steve? I don't know if you followed Broner's career or you got any sympathy for him, but knowing you must probably think, fuck him, because you're hard and you're from Salford.
No, like John said, he's been a bit of a knob, hasn't he? And it hurts when it happens to good people and you see things like that. But you know what? He is a prick, isn't he? So I
knew there was no sympathy from you. I'll tell you what. We can wrap it. We've only got about 7 minutes left on this, and. Is there anything, even if you want to get off your chest, I knew what you were going to come out with. If there was a bet of the day, your opinion on Broner was nailed on. Anything else on your mind, John? Anything you're looking forward to?
No, something got on my nerves again, but it's my favourite topic of the lightweights. And
here you go.
Luckily, Gervonta Davis seems like he's got his head screwed on a little bit more than Broner. He seems to have reined it all back. But They're ruining Javante Davis. You know, he could fight any lightweight, super featherweight, junior welterweight in the world, couldn't he? And they've matched him with this Rolly Romero, and Leonard Ellaby's talking about it's going to be the greatest event in boxing this year. Shut up, Leonard. Nobody wants to watch that, do they? Everybody wants to see Javante in a big fight against a proper name. You don't want to see Roland Romero.
Have you finished?
He's got to fight Ryan Garcia for me because you know, he's moved on from trainers, and I've picked up on a little few things where he said he had no time because he was doing it all with Canelo, and I'm thinking, well, you know, he's looked great, hasn't he, that Ryan Garcia? He's obviously got that big following. He'd have a lot of physical attributes, advantages against the lads, but you know, what a fight it would be. You know, the tanks can punch, even though I think he's a super feather and not a lightweight. But that's the fight me and the world want to see, and they'd all make a load of money out of it. Get it done. It shouldn't be hard.
And that they could even do that without exaggerating. They could put it in the new 80,000 stadium in LA, that SoFi Stadium, and they could sell Garcia against Tank Davis in that stadium. That's how big that fight would be. But no, we just want to protect him for another year, and drives me mad, honestly.
When is that the BBC fighter, John? I don't know the kid you mentioned there who he signed with anything, but they try to just keep things in-house, don't they?
Yeah, they do. When you think the opportunities you're desperate to get for people like Leach, at the very top of the game, we're actually turning down opportunities to downgrade things. It's all backwards, isn't it? You're at the bottom trying to get up, and they're at the top trying to bring the level down. It just drives me mad, honestly.
They just paid so much money at the start of PBC. That trait has followed. You know? Anyway, fellas, well, thanks very much for this week. Thanks for coming off the subs bench, Woody. Next time, we won't have you off the subs bench in a couple of months. We'll have you as a proper guest, you know, when we have a structured show.
24 hours notice would be good for me, Steve. I'll be ready then, mate. Yeah, but
well, thank you, John, for getting out of your kitchen and your loose wiring to join us, and thank everyone for listening this week. Thank you.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.